You're hanging out with friends, and someone says something completely ordinary. Not even a joke, just a normal sentence. And somehow, everyone bursts out laughing anyway. If you think laughter is mainly about jokes, one famous researcher would tell you that's actually wrong. A scientist spent years secretly recording thousands of real conversations to study this exact question. What he found genuinely surprised him. Most laughter has almost nothing to do with humor at all. So if it's not really about jokes, what is laughter actually doing? And there's a real historical event involving an entire school shutting down because of it. Let's get into it. In the 1990s, psychologist Robert Provine set out to study laughter exactly as it happens naturally. Instead of testing people in a lab with jokes, his team eavesdropped on real conversations in public. They tracked over 1,000 instances of genuine, spontaneous laughter. Then they checked exactly what was said right before each laugh. The results were striking. Less than 20% of laughter followed anything resembling an actual joke. Most laughter followed completely ordinary comments, like, "I'll see you later," or "Are you sure?" Laughter, it turns out, is mostly a social signal, not a direct response to something being funny. So if it's not primarily about humor, what is laughter actually doing in these moments? Provine's research suggests laughter mainly signals connection, comfort, and shared positive feeling between people. It's less about announcing something is funny, and more about saying, "I feel good, and I feel good with you." That's also exactly why laughing alone, with no one else around, feels strange and rare. Provine found people are up to 30 times more likely to laugh in a social setting than when they're alone. Laughter needs an audience far more than it needs an actual joke. Here's another genuinely surprising pattern Provine discovered in his research. The person speaking in a conversation actually laughs more often than the person listening. You might expect the audience to laugh more, reacting to what's being said. The data shows the opposite. This supports the idea that laughter often functions as a social cue the speaker uses, not just an audience reaction. It's less like a punchline reward, and more like a piece of conversational punctuation. Now here's that historical event I mentioned earlier, and it's a genuinely wild true story. In 1962, in a school in Tanganyika, a small group of girls suddenly broke into uncontrollable laughter. It didn't stop. Laughter spread rapidly from student to student, then between entire nearby communities. The outbreak became so disruptive that authorities were forced to temporarily close schools in the region. The episode lasted for months before it finally, gradually faded out entirely. Researchers studying it concluded it wasn't caused by anything funny. It spread through social and psychological contagion. It remains one of the most striking real-world examples of just how contagious laughter can genuinely be. That contagious quality isn't limited to rare historical outbreaks either. It shows up constantly in daily life. Hearing someone else laugh, even without knowing why, often triggers an automatic urge to laugh too. This is exactly why television sitcoms have used recorded laugh tracks for decades. Studies have confirmed that laugh tracks genuinely increase how much audiences laugh and how funny they rate the content. Your brain seems to treat laughter itself as a trigger, almost independent of whatever caused it originally. Provine ran one particularly clever experiment that reveals something strange about the sound of laughter itself. He took a recorded laugh and digitally removed just the rhythmic ha-ha vocal notes from it. What remained wasn't silence. It was a long, breathy exhale, essentially just a sigh. This suggests laughter is built on top of a much older, more basic breathing pattern. The rhythmic ha-ha sound may be a relatively recent addition to something far more ancient underneath. This ancient breathing idea connects directly to where laughter likely came from evolutionarily. Laughter isn't uniquely human. Great apes, including chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans, all show similar behavior. They produce a breathy, panting vocalization during play and tickling that closely resembles human laughter. Researchers believe this shared trait likely stretches back to a common ancestor tens of millions of years ago. In apes, this vocalization mainly happens during physical play, suggesting laughter's earliest role was signaling safety. It essentially communicates, this is play, not a real fight, keeping social interactions safe and cooperative. There's a fascinating hypothesis connecting laughter directly to how early human social groups grew larger. Most primates bond socially through physical grooming, which only works well in fairly small groups. Laughing together, by contrast, can bond an entire group simultaneously, all at once. Some researchers describe this as grooming at a distance, allowing far larger social circles to bond efficiently. This may have genuinely helped enable the unusually large, cooperative social groups humans are known for. This raises a natural question. Is laughter the same everywhere, or does it vary between cultures? Charles Darwin actually studied this exact question in the 1800s, examining facial expressions worldwide. He found that laughter, along with several other core expressions, appeared remarkably consistent across very different cultures. Modern research has largely supported this. The basic physical expression of laughter appears to be universal. What varies between cultures is mainly what triggers laughter, not the expression of laughter itself. The underlying biological machinery appears to be shared by essentially everyone on the planet. Laughter also isn't fully under your conscious control, similar to some other reflexes we've covered before. It involves both deep, ancient brain regions and more evolved areas involved in social processing. This is part of why genuinely trying to laugh on command often feels awkward and unconvincing. Certain rare medical conditions can even cause uncontrollable laughing episodes completely disconnected from actual humor. These cases offer researchers unique insight into just how deeply wired this behavior really is. Interestingly, some people experience the opposite problem, a genuine fear of being laughed at. Researchers have documented this as a real condition, sometimes called gelatophobia. People with this fear often struggle to distinguish good-natured laughter from mocking laughter, even when it's clearly friendly. It's a genuine reminder that laughter, while usually bonding, can also carry real social weight and vulnerability. Quick pause before we continue. Take a guess. Do you think people laugh the same amount regardless of who they're with? Not according to the research. Provine found women tend to laugh notably more at men than men do at women. Laughter patterns often reflect subtle social dynamics happening beneath the surface of a conversation. Let's clear up a few common myths before we wrap up. Myth 1. Laughter mainly happens because something was genuinely funny. As we covered, that's largely false. Most everyday laughter follows completely ordinary, non-funny remarks. Myth 2. Laughter is a uniquely human behavior found nowhere else in the animal kingdom. Not true. Great apes show remarkably similar laughter-like vocalizations during play and tickling. Myth 3. Laughing on command works just as well as genuine, spontaneous laughter. Not quite. Genuine and forced laughter appear to differ in both sound and how contagious they actually are. Myth 4. Laugh tracks on TV shows don't actually influence how much people laugh. Not accurate. Studies confirm laugh tracks genuinely increase both laughter and perceived funniness. Myth 5. Only humans experience laughter as a shared social bonding behavior. Not quite true. Great apes also laugh socially during group play, not just when alone. Myth 6. People who laugh a lot are simply naturally happier than people who laugh less. Not necessarily. Laughter frequency often reflects social context and company just as much as inner mood. Let's wrap up with a few fun extra facts. In one study, people were far more likely to laugh and smile the first time they heard a recorded laugh than the 10th. This suggests laughter itself can lose some of its contagious punch with repetition, similar to other reflexes. Laughter can also be measurably triggered by rhythm and timing alone, even without any actual content or words. Comedians and public speakers often instinctively use timing and pacing that lines up with these natural patterns. Even babies laugh remarkably early, often starting around 3 to 4 months old, well before they understand jokes. One more fact before the recap. Provine also found that laughter almost always occurs at natural pauses in speech. Laughter rarely interrupts someone mid-sentence, almost like it respects the underlying grammar of conversation. It's a small detail that hints at just how deeply structured this seemingly spontaneous behavior actually is. Okay, let's bring this all together. Most everyday laughter isn't really about jokes. It's primarily a social signal of connection and comfort. It's remarkably contagious, as the real 1962 Tanganyika laughter epidemic dramatically demonstrated. Its evolutionary roots likely trace back tens of millions of years, shared with our closest great ape relatives. Some researchers believe it even helped enable the unusually large, cooperative social groups humans live in today. And it isn't fully under conscious control, wired deep into both ancient and more modern regions of the brain. All from one everyday sound almost everyone makes constantly, but almost nobody stops to actually question. If this answered a question you never knew you had, that's exactly what this channel is about. So if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and it takes about 2 seconds. Drop a comment and tell me which part surprised you the most. Was it the 20% statistic? The Tanganyika laughter epidemic? Let me know. And if you like this video, go ahead and tap that like button. It's a small click that genuinely helps this channel keep growing. There are hundreds of everyday questions just like this one waiting to be explored. Things you do constantly every single day, but never actually questioned. That's what this channel is all about. Toggling your curiosity on, one question at a time. One more thing before you go. Tap that notification bell too, so you actually see it when the next video drops. Next time, we're tackling why flamingos stand on one leg for hours without falling over. It's a surprisingly clever energy-saving trick, and you will not guess the mechanism. I'll see you in the next one.